And good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably going to be a pretty short stream. And it's really a precursor because I'm going to do a stream tomorrow that's going to look at in this stuff in more detail. And if people want to come on that stream, they'll be welcome. But if they don't, fine, I'll do it on my own. I'm going to do what I usually do, kind of my signature move. Going to play us a bit of a tune to allow the half dozen people who might watch this to get in. So, pardon my boom attack, you know what I'm like, guys. The first one I'm going to play it's a Scottish tune, and it's about the Black Watch, which is one of the most famous of the Scottish Highland regiments. Hang on, I fucked that up, didn't I? For whatever reason. Okay, so that was Trois Recruiting Sergeant, which is from the 42nd Highlanders, the Black Watch, one of the finest regiments in the British Army. One of those regiments that you knew if they were next to you will never run away under any circumstances. Enemy, mind you, pretty scary, those guys. So listen, this is going to be a fairly short stream, I think. And really what it is, I'm going to do a stream tomorrow, probably sort of, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 in the evening. I'm not quite sure yet. Which is going to look at some of the problems that we face today in Britain and more generally in the Western world. And really what I wanted to just highlight on this little precursor stream is that one of the major problems we face is the destruction of Western blokes, basically, and of the way Western blokes think. In general terms, like men, Western men, I can't say what other men think because I'm not other men. I think there are some similarities, but they're not all the same. We believe in great men who change things and lead things. We believe in heroes, guys who are exceptionally brave and courageous and who change things. And by and large, women don't. They just don't. Women believe in collectivism and government helping you out, and families, I guess, helping you out. But back in the day when there were extended families, which feminism is very against, of course, and soy boys, like, feminized men, and increasing numbers of Western blokes are soy boys. They are feminized men. They have lower testosterone levels than men traditionally had. They have lower sperm counts than men traditionally had. They're just a waste of space. But it's not really their fault. I mean, a lot of it is due to their single mothers, because there's so many single mothers these days. And there are so many boys, particularly in working class and low middle class families, who don't have a single good male role model to even look to. And the men's movement, and like I'm a bit like Bruce. I kind of came into the right wing sphere partially through the kind of manosphere stuff. And I have what I call a realistic opinion of women. Women don't understand loyalty in the way that men do. Like a good man, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that most men are good men, but a good man who is under an obligation to his friend because his friend helped him will go to great trouble to try and repay that debt. And that seems to me to be dying out very much these days. It really does. I'm not saying there aren't a lot of good guys, because there obviously are, and I know some. But I'm an old guy. Okay, let me make this clear. I'm 55. I was born in 1965, and this world we live in today, to me, is completely and totally alien and bad. It's completely feminized. It's just almost completely feminized. So much so that you can have Boris Johnson, who is supposedly the Prime Minister of the UK, basically being told what to do by his girlfriend, not even his wife, his girlfriend. And he does it, and instead of just being like laughed out of Parliament and saying, well, look, you can't possibly lead the Conservative Party, never known Britain, people just think that's okay. Listen, I'm a very old-fashioned guy. I was an old-fashioned guy in 1990, so I'm a very old-fashioned guy in 2020. Trust me. Like I'm a 90s guy, but I'm a 1890s guy, pretty much. And I think that's one of our major problems in the Western world. Our society is being totally feminized. And it's being done on purpose. You know, the left and the globalists know full well that that's a good thing to destroy a society. If you make women the leaders of your society rather than men, your society will get weaker and weaker and weaker and become less and less and less good. Like I was a regular soldier for over 10 years. And women are piss poor soldiers. I'm not saying they can't do various things in the support arms, they can, but they make very piss poor combat soldiers. So, for example, in the infantry, obviously, cavalry, armored corps, artillery, engineers, Royal Engineers as they are in the British Army, they're piss poor in all of those things. They should not be in those services. And the only reason they get into those services and stay in those services and on occasion even thrive in those services is because standards are lowered for them. If they weren't, they wouldn't even get in the first place. And Western society has come to this strange view that having the worst soldiers we can possibly have, i.e. women in units, is somehow going to allow us to win wars. Like, women are not strong enough to carry the loads that infantry soldiers need to carry. They're not strong enough to be loaders, for example, in a tank. They don't have the killer instinct to actually kill someone very often. Like, I've watched British military girls who were in Afghanistan, for example. And there was one I remember distinctly who was a Royal Engineer. And she said when the boys got into a firefight, and she called them the boys, she laid on the floor and let the boys do their stuff. Now, actually, I think she was actually one of the better women soldiers because that's their best bet. The British Army in the 1980s and 90s did extensive tests, many between all male sections, which is to say a squad if you're an American, of like 8 or 10 blokes, platoons, which is about 30 blokes, and even companies, which is 100 odd guys. And every single British test, the male-only section, platoon, and company was vastly superior to either the all-female or the mixed ones. Because all women do in a military unit is break up the cohesion of that unit. They just do. They can't help it. It's not even their fault. It's just what they do. And if you want to win your wars, you have male military units. You don't have female military units. And it's just ridiculous. And like I said, the male view of history is great men. People like Nelson, Napoleon, Wellington, the Sun King in France, people like Washington in America, this kind of stuff. But it also includes a load of heroism and bravery and standing your ground by ordinary male blokes. And all of Western culture depends on that stuff. You know, you look at the 300 at Thermopylae in the war where Persia tried to invade ancient Greece. And yeah, you've got Leonidas, you've got that heroic king, but you've got that 300 courageous and unafraid men. And Western society is totally losing that. We are just totally losing it totally. And these days, you talk the feminists and the left, and also the globalists who use these leftists and feminists as their useful idiots, talk about toxic masculinity. Well, what is toxic masculinity? It's the idea of a confident man. That's all it is. It's a confident man who believes in what he believes in and will fight for it. And in the end, this is going to come back and it's going to bite women on the arse. It really is. Look how many millions of times in history, going probably back to prehistory, certainly back to prehistory, when individual blokes have died to try and save women and children, their women and children. Look back to the number of times in history and ancient history in great sieges when ordinary men fought to save the women and children in a besieged town or city. And you can go right back to ancient Rome and ancient Greece, and you can come right forward into the 20th century when that's happened. And many, many, many times in the British Empire, for example, during the Indian Mutiny, etc. And then also look at like the ordinary actions of ordinary blokes in an extraordinary situation, like, for example, the sinking of the Titanic or the sinking of a ferry, etc. In the old days, and it's still true, like I've worked on boats a long time. And like if your boat is sinking, the rule is women and children first. It's just the rule. So the children get on first and then the chicks do. And if there's any space left, the blokes get on board. And look at Titanic. That's exactly what happened with the men there. Yeah, and there were posh blokes who stood by on the side so that working class chicks and their kids get on lifeboats. Did that happen with some of the women? No, of course it didn't. But it certainly happened with most of the blokes. So, you know, I just think this is one of our core problems. Is we are trying to destroy Western masculinity. And it won't go well. And it isn't going well. It's killing us, and it's killing our societies, it's killing our civilization, and it's killing any hope we have for the future. And we have to stop it. We have to stop it. It can't be right for 6 and 7-year-old boys, because of their vile child abusing mothers, to go and do strip acts in gay strip clubs. Which single person would think that would be all right for a 5 or 7-year-old girl to do in a straight strip club? If a straight strip club would have them, which they would not, of course, because they want to look at adults, whereas not all gay guys do. We have to stop this shit, guys. And like I said, I only want to make this a pretty short stream. I'm going to do a much longer stream on this stuff, but probably a bit bigger subjects. And if anyone wants to come on, they're more than welcome. Plastic African, I don't think it's new, but I think we've got to start calling it out. Okay, I don't think this is new, but it's fairly new. It's within the last 10 years or so that it's become so obvious. We have to stop it. We have to call it out. So, like I said, I'm going to do a longer stream about this. Probably, I don't know, about 15 hours time, something like that. And if someone wants to come on, they're welcome. Get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me on Gab. You can get a hold of me in Minds. If you're on Discord, you can get a hold of me on Discord. But anyway, I just think we need to call this out. And I'm going to do what I usually do and close with another tune. And this one is from Newfoundland in Canada. And it's from the period of the First World War. And I just like it because it's a catchy tune. So we'll do that now, I think. Okay. Good night, ladies and gents. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.